Well, good morning, Venues family. How are we doing today? Good. Well, happy Sunday to you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everybody online watching. If you guys are able to, like to, please stand as we sing some songs together. There's no audition for true love. No matter what, you don't have to earn it. If you've ever felt like an outcast, there's good news if you've never heard it. God so loved the world, that's right. God so loved the world, never left you out of it. Whosoever needs a shelter, needs a savior, come in closer. All who wander, every outsider, you are Savior. Whosoever. No more of life on the sidelines. There's an open door and you are invited. Come on in and join the song and raise a glass, cause you belong. No matter what, you're welcome and wanted. God so loved the world. God so loved the world. He never left you out of it. Whosoever needs a shelter, needs a savior, come in closer. All who wander, every outsider, you are Savior. Whosoever. Love looks like this, like a long walk home, and a father who runs out to find you. Love looks like this, like a neighbor you love, with his arms stretching out to remind you. Whosoever needs a shelter, needs a savior, come in closer. All who wander, every outsider, you are Savior. Whosoever. Come in closer. All who wander, every outsider, you are Savior. Whosoever. I am loved in my Father's arms, they welcome me. I was lost, but He brought me in. Oh, His love for me. Oh, His love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, I can just be me. His love runs deep. There's no shame, I will shout and sing. Oh, His love for me. Oh, His love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
Welcome. Good morning. I'm Laura, the administrative assistant here at the venues. And whether you're in the auditorium right now or you're watching from home, we're so glad you're here. If you have kids or teens, Family Venue is where they will want to be. Go ahead and get them checked in, then come back and settle in with us. You'll get a 4-digit code at the check-in kiosk. Hold on to that. If we need you for anything during the service, that code will show up on the screen. If your little ones are staying with you today, that's more than okay. But if they need a break or you need a break, the Wiggle Room is just off the lobby and open anytime. Step out whenever you need to, and you can still watch the whole service live from in there. Every Thursday night at 6:30, you can find us at Mother's Brewing downtown for Bar Church. Come as you are, bring somebody with you, and just hang out with us. Kids and well-behaved pets are welcome to join. Our next Baptism Sunday is on June 21st during service. If you've been thinking about getting baptized, you can sign up at thevenues.org. We can't wait to celebrate this day with you. If you're looking for a fun way to build friendships here, Dinners for 8 is the way to do that. After service, if you want to sign up for a Dinners for 8 or baptism or get more information about connection opportunities, stop by the connection table and we'll be happy to help. Your home base for everything venues is thevenues.org. Give, find a group, see what's coming up, and follow us on social media so you're always in the loop. If today is your first time here, welcome. Before you head out, stop by the first time area. We want to say hello, and we've got a little something for you. Okay, that's all I have to say for now. Today is going to be a great day. Bye.
Glad that you are with us today. My name is Nicholas Horn, and I'm a member of the teaching team here at the venues. And this is the part of the morning where we transition to our special song, while volunteers will be coming around to collect any offerings or donations that you have. As many of you know, we are in a season of celebrating Pastor Philip and his years of leadership among us. And a bit of a running theme, if you've been coming the last few Sundays for our special songs, is that we're coming and we're picking them from one particular source, his favorite band, the Beatles. And one of the most beloved songs ever written by the Beatles is Let It Be. What many people don't know is that Paul McCartney wrote it during a season of anxiety and uncertainty in his life. He described it as having a dream about his mother, Mary, who had died when he was a teenager. And in that dream, she simply told him, "It will be all right. Let it be." The phrase wasn't about giving up. It wasn't about pretending everything was fine. It was an invitation to stop fighting battles that couldn't be solved in that moment and to trust that healing takes time. I think that's something many of us need to hear right now. We live in a culture that wants immediate answers, immediate solutions, immediate healing. When something breaks, we rush to fix it. When hurting, we want the pain gone right now. But some things can't be forced. Some wounds only heal through time, patience, and grace. Here at the venues, we often talk about sacredness of the present moment, about learning to be where we are rather than constantly trying to control what comes next. Sometimes growth isn't about striving harder. Sometimes wisdom looks like accepting what is, realizing what we cannot change, and trusting that tomorrow will bring what today cannot. There are seasons where the most faithful thing we can do is keep showing up, keep breathing, keep loving, and simply let things be for a while. So as you listen to the song, Maybe think about whatever you're carrying today, the unanswered question, the grief, and simply say, let things be. Perhaps you hear these words not as a surrender, but an invitation to trust that healing is happening even when you can't see it. This is Let It Be.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing there in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be. Let it be, oh let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And then the broken-hearted people living in the world agree there will be an answer, let it be. And though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, oh let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, oh let it be, let it be, oh let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, oh let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Oh, let it be, let it be, let it be, oh let it be. Whisper be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, oh let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
and Chris and Steve and Kenny and Michelle. That was one of the best versions of that great song that I've ever heard. Appreciate Steve's jamming. I appreciate Kenny's coolness up there. And the harmony of the ladies. Thank you so much. What a way to go out, huh? I like it. We should have started this 13 years ago. All right, let me see if I can get myself logged in here. Let's see, I need a clicker. Is there a clicker over there? Just hold on. Do 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 do. Hey, got it. It's 1962, Sunday night in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Dad's Chevy Impala, a proper American automobile, glides through the dark streets after Sunday evening service at First Baptist. I am standing in the back floorboard, standing, not sitting, because that is what children did in 1962, and nobody had yet explained to us that this was a problem. I don't know if that 62 Impala had seat belts or not. I'm not sure if they had been invented yet. If they had, someone had decided that they were optional, kind of like turn signals today. I lean over the back of the front seat, and I say to my parents, I want to get baptized. Maybe there had been a baptism at church that night. You know, I've heard the salvation plan from my dad's preaching, from sitting at home night after night for 6 years of my life as a PK. Whatever it was, something had moved me to tell Mother and Dad that. Mom and Dad looked at each other as if they were thinking, finally, this is something we've been waiting for. So my dad turns and looks at me and asks the only question that matters in the tradition in which he was raised and taught and pastored. The question was, son, are you lost? And I looked at him and I said, no, I'm right here with you. And that is the sermon. Everything else I'm going to say is just a commentary on that statement right there. I didn't know it then, but that exchange between my dad and me contains two very different ways of looking at humanity. One way says humanity is lost, separated, condemned, on the outside of God. The other says that humanity is already there, already held, already loved, already accepted. But maybe we are just asleep to that fact. Maybe that 6-year-old boy in the back of the Chevy Impala accidentally stumbled onto something that is true that took me another 40, 50 years to discover. Maybe the deepest problem is not that we are lost. Maybe the deepest problem is that we are asleep. That's actually the language the Bible uses. Over and over again, the Bible doesn't say, wake up, you separated person. Wake up, you filthy person. Wake up, you hated person. Wake up, you worthless person. Paul says this to the Ephesians, awake, O sleeper. Arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Now, we may read that and hear that through the lens of fear. You better wake up or God's going to be mad at you. You better hurry up and get saved. Wake up right now. Respond to the altar call. But maybe what Paul is writing and saying is not a threat. Maybe it's an invitation. Paul obviously is speaking to people who are not physically. They're awake physically, but they are asleep spiritually. And we know what that feels like. We know what it's like to live on autopilot, to become numb. There are so many things that happen in the news today that we just can't take any more of it. We become numb. Things that would have stabbed us and awakened us several years ago are just commonplace today. We kind of operate on autopilot. We lose our sense of wonder. We become so distracted, anxious, angry, exhausted, or cynical that we stop seeing the Christ in other people. We know what it is awake to our phones, but asleep to our souls. So Paul says, wake up. I want you to become conscious again. I want you to notice your life. I want you to notice your breath. I want you to notice your neighbor, notice the suffering, notice the injustices, notice the good things, notice the holy and the mundane. Notice the specialness of every moment that you live. It's funny that Paul says, awake, O sleeper, and Christians nod their heads. But if you shorten that to one word, woke, suddenly Thanksgiving dinner gets kind of awkward. The word woke has become emotionally charged. It is a political football. Depending on who says it and what their perspective is, some people say it and it comes across and it comes from a heart of compassion. Other people see it as to be woke is the collapse of our country. We've heard these words said from our Secretary of War, we are not a woke military. Or we've heard and we've seen it said, Florida is where woke goes to die. That line, the last line, of course, is from the governor of Florida. When asked to define what woke actually meant, Governor DeSantis called it a vicious ideology, a form of cultural Marxism. But then his own lawyer, general counsel, was pressed for a more specific response, a more specific answer and definition. And this is what Ryan Newman, his general counsel, said. Well, being woke is the belief there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to address them. And they're opposed to that, huh? He could not have defined it any more clearly. That's exactly what being woke means. Is that what they're against? Is that what they see is an existential threat? The belief that injustices exist and we need to address them? Or count me woke? Well, before woke became a political football, it meant something very, very simple. It goes back to the 30s in the black community where people were encouraged to pay attention, to stay aware, to not fall asleep to what is happening around you. Or as Jane Fonda says, woke just means you give a damn about other people. That's pretty good. So if to be woke means to be awake to injustice, to be awake to suffering, to be awake to the humanity of others, that people who are often ignored, here is the question I would want to pose to you. Was Jesus woke? Or maybe an even more unsettling question. Why do some people get nervous when Jesus starts sounding woke? There was a Southern Baptist pastor last fall who told his congregation that he just did not understand the emphasis on the Sermon on the Mount and how that just does not apply to our culture anymore. I want to introduce you to the idea that maybe it's okay to be woke, and maybe it's a good thing to be woke. I want us to wake up. This is Charlotte and her mother, Leela. April 2012, Charlotte suffered from a hemorrhage followed by a series of massive strokes. This condition left her without the ability to speak or to see, and her mother was told that she probably would not survive. Leela, the mom, said, doctors told me to say goodbye, and I thought I was going to lose my little girl. So Mom, Leela the mom, decided that she would get into her daughter's hospital bed and, in her words, give her a cuddle. And it was then that on the radio, Adele's song, Rolling in the Deep, began to play. That was a song that Leela and Charlotte loved, and they would sing that together. And when Adele's beautiful voice came over the airwaves, Leela started singing with her. Little Charlotte did something amazing. She opened her eyes, and a smile crossed her face. Her mom says, I started singing it to her because she loves Adele, and we used to sing that song together. Charlotte started smiling, and I couldn't believe it. It was the first time she had reacted to anything since the hemorrhage. The nurses were amazed and moved and encouraged the mother to keep singing. And she started on her way to recovery. Leela told a paper in London, the nurses said it was like I unlocked her, and from that day, she started getting better and better. So let me just throw this out to you all. You can popcorn answer it if you have an answer to it. What was an event, an experience, what was a song, a message that somebody gave to you that kind of woke you up out of your moral, spiritual, political slumber? It made you start being aware of things to which you were prior asleep. Anybody want to venture an answer to that? Oh, I guess, over here. American Idiot? Oh, a Green Day song. If it's not the Beatles, I don't know it. I apologize. I'll have to look that up. All right. Then there were a couple of over here. Homeless camps. What would Jesus do? WWJD. Payne Stewart. And this too shall pass. We shall overcome. Oh, there you go. Thank you, whoever that said that. What's that? You almost cut your hair? Oh my gosh, man, you are really educating me. Thank you, Kurt. There was one over here I don't think I got on the right side. True Colors. All right. Oh, feels like that, doesn't it, sometimes? Yeah. Breaking chains. Yeah. The point is, if we will be open, there are so many things in our culture that will wake us up. A variety of different things. I want to introduce to you to someone that Father Richard Rohr introduced Denise and me to. His name is Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. He was a thorn in the side of the Catholic Church. He was a Jesuit priest, a scientist, a mystic, a philosopher, which already sounds like somebody that would make the church very nervous. He spent his life studying fossils and bones, and what he discovered changed his view of humanity and his view of God. The church tried very hard to silence him. He was forbidden to publish most of his works because the church considered them to be dangerous. And they were dangerous. They were a threat to the story of institutional Christianity. The story of institutional Christianity is a story with which I was raised. It was a story that says God made everything perfect and humanity ruined it. And ever since, we have been living in the ruins. We have been living in the wreckage, broken and guilty and separated, and we are in need of rescue. We are lost. The message of the church was, you have a problem. We have the answer. You need us. In my own church experience and history and origin, it was framed in the sense of you, Philip, have to acknowledge your sin, show remorse, and you have to invite Jesus into your life. In many churches, as it was in the one that Denise and I grew up in, that was solidified in a prayer that was called the sinner's prayer. If you ever see Franklin Graham on a commercial pop up, he will always end his commercial with the sinner's prayer. In other churches, it was framed as just making a decision for Christ. However it was packaged, the message was always the same. There is a line between being on the outside and being saved, and at some point in your life, you have got to make a decision to cross that line. But Pierre Teilhard Chardin looked at evolution and saw something different. What he saw when he studied as a scientist was movement of creation. He saw growth. He saw creation waking up. He said the universe is not falling apart. The universe is unfolding. And he described this unfolding as the omega point. The universe is not falling apart. Everything is moving somewhere. From matter to life, from life to consciousness, from consciousness to what he called Christ consciousness, or the omega point. What he did, and what Father Rohr taught Denise and me, not privately, I wish, but in a group, was that there is a difference between Jesus, historical Jesus, and the Christ. It's really nothing new. The first chapter of the Gospel of John says the same thing, that before Jesus was born, there was the Word that was in existence all the time. And that is, according to Dr. Deschardin, the Christ. The Christ has always been in existence. That universal love, that universal power that brings things together. And when Jesus was born, is it possible that Jesus was just at that point a manifestation of the Christ? See, the old theology with which I was raised and what I taught said, I fell away from God. But this theology says that I've never been separated from God, that God has always been in me and I've always been in God. I've always been a part of a bigger picture. And my journey is not being gone from lost to found, from being in a wreck and being put back together. It is awakening to who I really am. It's an awakening to that connection. So here is the theological claim that I want to make, and I may have to retire today after I make it. You are already saved. Could it be that you are already saved? Not, you will be saved if you say the right words. Not that you were once saved, but you might lose it. And it's not, you might be saved if you have the right theology, if you go to the right church, and if you vote right. No. Is it possible that it's already done, it's already settled? And this spiritual journey that we are all on is just the process of being awakened to that truth. I told you several years ago that when I was at fellowship, what really changed me was I spent a year, almost 2 years, doing nothing but reading in my Bible reading days, the Gospels. Seeing how Jesus lived, how Jesus interacted with people, what his teachings were and what his values were as he interacted with people and taught people. And I discovered that when broken people stood before Jesus, whether it was a tax collector that would exploit the poor or a woman who was accused of sexual scandal, or when there was a criminal that was dying beside him, Jesus never did ask them to say a prayer. He never asked them to make a commitment or to fill out a card. All he did was to say, I want to invite you into a new way to be human. A new way to look at yourself, to look at God, to look at people. One of the reasons that I have become less interested in asking who is in and who is out, are you saved or are you not, is because of what Paul wrote to the people in Colossae. Colossians 1:27, Paul writes, Christ in you, the hope of glory. I grew up with this verse. It was my dad's favorite Bible verse. He loved it so much that he had it put on his tombstone. Growing up, I heard that verse as a promise that Christ could someday come into your life. That Christ is present only in the people who have consciously accepted Jesus. And I understand why people read it that way. I did too. And I taught it that way. But the older I got and the more I began to think about the entirety of Paul's writings, I began to wonder if Paul was describing something that was beyond, something more mystical, something more cosmic. Christ in you, not Christ near you, not Christ tolerating you, not Christ waiting impatiently outside the door, knocking on your heart, wanting to get in, because he's already in there. Paul often speaks in the book, letter to the Colossians, in cosmic terms. He writes in 1:17, he himself is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Who's he talking about? The Christ, that pre-existent one, the one who has been here forever, even before Jesus. Christ is before all things. And in him, all things, that word hold together is one Greek word. It simply means to unite. It's John Lennon come together. In the Spirit of Christ, not necessarily in Jesus, but in Christ, in that pre-incarnate one, the one that has been here forever. In that entity, all things come together. Then he goes on in verse 20, through Christ, God was pleased to reconcile himself all things, not just Baptist, not just AG, not just members of my church, not just Christians, but all, not just all people, but all things. Maybe the question is not, how do I get Christ into my life? Maybe the question is, how do I wake up to the Christ who is already in me, who has been present all along? For 64 years, I've been thinking about that conversation in the back of the Chevy Impala. Son, are you lost? No, Dad, I'm right here with you. Maybe that's the gospel. Maybe you don't need to be found. Maybe you just need to wake up to the Christ who is in you. We're going to have communion now. And we're going to talk about communion in a way that relates to what we just discussed, what we just learned. Maybe communion is less about getting Christ to come to us and more about waking up to the Christ who is already in us. The bread reminds us that the Christ figure is in the ordinary things of life. Dennis and I were talking before the service about a fellow mentor of ours, Brother Lawrence, who found Christ in making the bread. Christ is in the bread. Jesus said that. The cup reminds us that love is stronger than hate. Love is stronger than fear and violence. So today we come to this table We're not trying to get closer to God. You are as close to God as I was to my mom and dad leaning over the back of that front seat of the Impala. You're right there. But Philip, I feel distant. I understand that. And a part of the reason for this experience today is for you to tangibly take something into your mouth that is real. And Christ is as real as the bread and as real as the juice. You are that close to him. We are honored today to have our communion servers, all members of the LGBTQ community, because the Venues is not just about Pride Month. It's just about pride all year long. And we honor people in the community who have been told by preachers like myself in my earlier days and other preachers that they should be ashamed of themselves. And to declare pride is not boasting. It is the healthy response toward a culture that has told them to be filled with shame. We want to be a part of a new culture, of a new kingdom that is no longer lived by shame, but who operate from the basis of acceptance fully by God and by others. So as you've received the bread and the cup, I want you to hear again Paul's invitation. Awake, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Not because Christ has just now arrived, but because Christ has been here the whole time. And I'm just being aware of it now. So the servers are going to dismiss our people from the back to the front. We have a table in front of me. We have a table to my right, one to my left. The section on my left will get the elements from that table to the left. On the right, the elements from the table on the right. The center section will come to this center table. In the balcony, we have two tables, one on either side of the balcony. Celebrate you today. Celebrate the Christ in you today and recognize the Christ in all. Come forward, if you will. we're about to take as a group symbolize the daily act of recognizing Christ in us. And the presence of Christ in us is as real as the presence of these elements in our body. And we take this together every few months to recognize that Christ is in all of us. And we celebrate that and we recognize that. So if you will take the bread with me. God of love, thank you for this bread. And as we take the juice, may the reality of these elements touch every part of my life this week, this day. Well, thank you all. This is a good day for me. It's my last communion with the people of the venues. So it's very special. Nisi, you going to make it? My gosh. I thought Nicholas was going to come up here. Denise and I were playing racquetball 2 weeks ago today.
Racquetball?
No, pickleball.
Now he's really telling his
Thank
age.
you. I am so old, aren't
I
I?
used to play racquetball.
Mm-hmm. She was beating me, so I hit her.
I was winning for the first time with Philip Wright in 5
So
years.
she's got a torn calf muscle.
I'm not competitive at all. So you've got 4 questions here already.
Okay, here you go.
If we are already saved, why did Jesus die on the cross to save us?
Oh my gosh. Excuse me.
You better get started, babe. Is this your he
Well-
doesn't want to answer the question.
Yeah. I'm just playing with your seat a little bit.
We have
Yeah,
youth
that
in
is,
the
you know, that
auditorium.
is a question that I began to wrestle with about 25 years ago because the cross as the means of salvation had been a core part of my evangelical theology. And so why in the world did Jesus have to die? And I no longer believe, and I realize that there's a contradiction here. It does seem like some of the things that Paul says, that Jesus died for the forgiveness of sin. But then I told you I spent 2 years doing nothing but reading the Gospels. I didn't read Paul. And I saw that there were several times that Jesus forgave people of their sin without ever referring to death before he died on the cross. So my logical mind said, all right, God, what's up with this story? If Jesus could forgive people before the cross without ever talking about his death, he just said, I forgive you. Then why in the world did Paul say that Jesus died for the forgiveness of sin? So I figured there had to be, oh my gosh. I just decided to go with Jesus and not Paul. I'm a Jesus follower, not a Paul follower. Paul had an interpretation. I think that was his interpretation. And I think Paul was interpreting that as a good Pharisee, because their whole system was built upon the sacrifices that would go on in the temple. And I think he looked at the death of Jesus, and there are things that are said through that lens. So if Jesus could forgive me without dying on the cross, then what lesson do I learn from the death on the cross? What I learned from his death on the cross is all of this teaching that Jesus gave to us: love your enemies, pray for them who curse you. And what did Jesus do on the cross? He loved his enemy. And do you remember what he said on the cross? Forgive them. I think Jesus may have, I don't know, but could it be, I might be wrong about this, Could it be Jesus was saying, you've heard me teach it, now I'm going to live it. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
You ready for another zinger?
I know, you're stopping me, aren't you?
No. You've just
good.
got more good questions
do.
I know that people want to hear. How do you explain the verse, no one comes to the Father except through me?
Wow, I may have to be here in July to talk about that one. Yeah, that's John 14. Yeah, doggone, I should have preached longer so I didn't have to answer this one.
Jesus showed what the model looks like. He's already there, and you come through him to God through being human.
Yeah, that's a good response to that. John 14 is Jesus' last conversation with the disciples before their death. He starts off John 14, let not your heart be troubled. And he knows they're anxious. He knows they're worried. And when he gets to this point, he's having a conversation with the disciples, really intimate. And he says, no one comes to the Father but by me. And then how do we know? Philip had asked him the question. I wasn't there. It was another Philip. Asked Jesus the question, well, how do we know the way to the Father? How do we know how to get to the Father? And Jesus had expressed throughout his 3 years of teaching that there is this intimate connection between him and the Father. And I interpret that statement of Jesus in one of two ways. Those of you who have gone through Faith After Doubt with Brian McLaren, his interpretation of that is that for those people there in that room, that was their way, by following Jesus, because that was their system. For a Buddhist, it would not be that way. There would be a different audience, there would be a different pattern to that, but it would still be the way of Jesus, the way of love, the way of kindness, the way of compassion. So Brian McLaren says that's his understanding of it. Read it and go look it up on Google. My understanding of it is that Jesus did ask people to follow him. But the concept that I think that they were given by that invitation to follow him was not just because it was the idea of he was a rabbi. And whenever a disciple would follow a rabbi, what that meant was that they would follow the values and the priorities and the style of living of that rabbi. And so when I hear Jesus saying, but by me, I don't think it was that limited by me. I think he was expanding it. He was saying, I'm your rabbi. You chose to follow me 3 years ago. You remember the way that I taught you? I want you to follow that way. That's how you connect with the Father. And it's not about by following me, you're going to get to heaven when you die. He never talks about heaven. He just talks about follow me, and that connection between you and the Father is going to be realized. Good night, nurse. Help me with this. John Cummings, Rob Bell. He wrote a book, Velvet Elvis, first book I read of Rob Bell. And he said there was a practice in Jesus' day of the disciples of a rabbi following the rabbi so closely that there was a metaphor that the followers would have the dust from the feet of the rabbi covering them. And so the question was, are you covered with the dust of the rabbi? Because the followers would be so close to the rabbi that all the dust from his walking would get all over them. So my application of that is, am I following Jesus so close that the dust of kindness, the dust of justice, the dust of compassion, just all over me? I really think that's what Jesus is saying in John chapter 14 and verse 6. It's not just say the prayer and ask Jesus into your life. It is, are you willing to follow my way? Get the dust on you. That's what it means to follow God.
Nicholas.
Thank you.
That was a good answer.
Thank you.
Those were both good answers.
Thank you for introducing that song. I'm
Well,
going to give
thank
everybody
you.
a big hug these next 4 weeks, that's for sure.
I think they would take it.
Nah,
I 100% think they would
love you,
take those
Nicholas.
hugs. Well, we want to thank you all so much for joining us this Sunday. We're going to go ahead and thank our online audience. Online, thank you so much for joining us. A few quick